Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Newsmakers. Global news on tariffs, finance, markets are rocking our world every minute. Today I have with me a newsmaker who can make sense of this ever-changing news around us. I have with me perhaps the most powerful woman banker in the world, the CEO of Citigroup, Jane Fraser. Jane Fraser has headed Citigroup from 2021 and has just completed a massive transformation of the bank, and at the end of it posted a 37% rise in profit in 2024 at about over $12 billion. And the second most outstanding quality about Jane Fraser is, even as the world around her asked their employees to come to work every day, Jane Fraser stood firm and said that employees can come 2 days to work and 3 days work from home. Flexibility for employees is her hallmark. So Jane Fraser, for all these qualities, congratulations and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you very much indeed for having me. It's wonderful to be back in this vibrant country at a very important time in the world.
Yes, I realize that you know more about India than most people, but what we want to know is about the United States. Our viewers are very confused about the way things are changing practically by the hour in terms of tariffs, in terms of financial markets. First, if you can tell us, how do you see the US economy evolving for the rest of 2025? There is a large group of stagflationists who believe tariffs will bring inflation and a smaller fiscal deficit will bring lower growth. Are you in that camp?
Well, we knew that President Trump was going to be a change agent. None of us anticipated, I don't believe, the extent and the speed and the pace of change that is occurring. And we're still at a point where there's a number of policy uncertainties which will get resolved and become clear in the next few weeks. So I think in that respect, we will all have more clarity about exactly how the policies will play out on the economic agenda. What we do see, I think, are two of the major headlines. That deregulation, from our clients' perspective, is certainly going to be pro-growth. I think the clients see an unraveling of some of the regulations that have been holding the economy, the competitiveness back, and that will certainly attract investment. Tariffs is really the big question globally as to exactly what will the nature of those be. We will find out in April.
Yes.
And at that point, I think a lot of clients, a lot of companies, a lot of investors are pausing to wait and see, and then we can determine what the impact on the economy will be.
So you've not quite joined the stagflation bandwagon, would you say?
No, it is too early to fully understand exactly what the second and third order effects will be. Tariffs will certainly change trade. They won't stop trade, but they'll change trade, and that's probably going to be the area that most people are looking at. What will the impact on growth? What will the impact on inflation be? The devil's always in the details.
Yes, in this case more so. Time permitting, I'll come back to the global questions, but let me have your first views on Citigroup itself. You completed a major reorganization last year. Are you satisfied with the outcome, and is there more of transformation to come?
So 2024 was a very important proof point year on our strategy, and I was pleased to see that we had almost a 40% increase in net income. We exceeded the revenue targets we had set for the year, and we had record years in 3 of our 5 businesses. So I think that was important for demonstrating that our strategy is working. We are driving an improvement in our business performance. But we still have more work to do. We have more to do, and I'm excited by the potential for our firm. I'm excited by our potential here in India as well, because I see a lot of the changes that are happening in the world, be it in IT and AI transformation, be it in geopolitics, be it deregulation, be it in the market environments, mean that our clients need us more than ever, and we are in a strong position to support them.
Well, you know, your reorganization made headlines earlier this week in India, probably for different reasons. There was news that you're going to do more of the IT work in-house, and that the outsourcing will be cut down from 50% to 20%. Is that true?
What is certainly true is AI is changing the potential for how we think about all of the work that's going on. I think you've seen that we have rolled out AI tools to over 140,000 employees around the company and around the world. And that is starting to change how we do work. It's starting to change workflows. It's unleashing a lot of creativity. And therefore, we're looking at insourcing more of the work that we do, and our technology colleagues are proving that they are more than up to many challenges, so we're bringing more of the activity within Citi.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you something specific. If those decisions are made, one company whose stock went down was LTIMindtree. They are big IT contractors for Citi. I would assume that even big companies like TCS and Wipro have done projects, at least in the past, for Citi. Are any of these names likely to lose work or lose the quantum of work?
Oh, I love our partners here in India. We have some fantastic partners who are strategic relationships for us. I don't see those strategic relationships diminishing in their importance in any way. The nature of work for everybody is changing, and I'm looking forward to seeing many of our key partners while I'm here on the ground.
So maybe the nature of work will change,
yes,
but the partnerships will continue.
Yes.
Okay, let me get back to the global scene, simply because my viewers will be upset if I did. You know, you're in 140 countries.
Yeah.
How are you looking at Europe? For the first time in 35 years, they're going to increase their deficit. The German parliament, at least one house has passed it. So is there more work? Is there growth in Europe after many quiet years?
I think Europe is at a very important juncture because there are a lot of investors, I think, are losing some confidence in Europe's ability and willingness to really tackle the structural issues that were laid out, I think, extremely well in the Draghi report. And is there the will to drive the efforts to get more scale, more labour market mobility, to tackle reform agendas, and to really put competitiveness on the front foot? I think a lot of the European economies are really struggling with this. Companies in Europe, on the other hand, there are many bright spots in the individual corporates, but they are finding growth outside of Europe, not within Europe. And I think it's at a critical juncture that if Europe doesn't seize this moment, it will be very hard to make change that's necessary.
Where, smart money has been going to Europe now, lately, and to China. But from your point of view, from your vantage point, what are your growth areas?
I see more money moving to the States and to Asia because of concerns on competitiveness and also because of the wealth creation opportunities in both parts of the world. The capital market in the US is fully scaled, it's broad, it's deep, and it provides an ability to convert savings into investment. I think this is something that we're going to see developing more and more in Asia, but is something that has not been addressed fully and has not really been an engine in Europe. And that, together with, you never want to bet against an American entrepreneur, I wouldn't bet against too many Indian entrepreneurs either. That's where I think that we've seen these more long-term shifts of longer-term investment into the States and into Asia as to where the future lies.
A lot of, again, smart money guys who come on CNBC-TV18 often, some of them are speaking about US exceptionalism ending. I mean, this is a more short-term phenomenon, only about financial markets. Would you agree?
I think it's too early to say that. The world is definitely becoming more multipolar, and I think we're watching governments around the world react to the need to adjust their macro policies to new geopolitical realities. In the States, we have seen almost all roads leading to the US for a while. And it's push and pull factors. You've got a tremendous innovation amongst entrepreneurs in different sectors. You've got companies worldwide going to the US for funding. You've got wealth moving there.
Yes.
You've also got an ability to exit. There's strong governance. So all of these make the US extremely attractive, and I think are reasons why a call for the end of US exceptionalism is a tad premature. I think in the long run, the strength of the US and the importance it plays will be a critical pillar of the global economy and certainly of the global financial markets. It will be good to see financial markets developing elsewhere, but this does not happen overnight, and we need to see more development, as we're seeing in India, breadth and depth of capital markets, independence of institutions, good rule of law, all the things that investors want so that they can invest and know that they can put their money in and take their money out.
A Cambridge postgraduate realized her ambitions at their best in the United States. I should have expected this reply. Well, I have to take mandatory breaks, but before that, I must get in a question on India. Where does India fit in Citi's growth path and in your view of the evolving global economy?
I've said for a number of years, India is one of the world's bright spots. It is India's decade. There is a vibrancy, there is a direction in the economy from the government that makes, I think, most people extremely bullish about India. And in many ways, those less informed will point to China Plus. I think China Plus is the icing. The cake is India. It is the domestic opportunity here, the investments the government's made in digitization, the investments we're seeing in infrastructure, some of the green economy developments. All of these are making India, one of the fastest growing, certainly the biggest, fastest growing economy in the world. I don't see that changing. It is yours for the taking, and we are proud to be the largest global bank in India.
Oh yes, you indeed are. The analogy is great. You are the cake and the icing is China Plus. But you, as part of your broader global move, you moved out of the retail business in India. Are you happy with the doubling down on the institutional business? Has the bet paid off? So
globally, we have focused our strategy on clients, which are institutions and individuals with cross-border needs. So we did a big shift globally in exiting our international consumer businesses, putting them into the hands of strong owners to make sure that our clients and our people were looked after, but so that we could focus on our core strength and competitive advantage, which is our ability to connect India to the world to India, and likewise in other countries. I'm very proud that we are now larger in India than we were when we owned the consumer bank. It shows the strategy is working. We are larger in revenues than we were when we owned our consumer franchise, and this is an example of the value of focus. We have been able to double down and grow in an area which I think is very critical, which is supporting Indian companies as they look globally, as well as domestically, and also foreigners who see India, as we do, as such a bright spot for the long run.
Oh, that's the proof of the pudding. I mean, if the revenue is more, clearly the move has been a success. We have to take a very brief break, but we are back. Much more important questions on how AI is evolving, and of course more on how financial markets also will evolve in the new geopolitical stuff. All those questions after the break. Welcome back to this very special edition of Newsmakers. My newsmaker, very special one at that, is Jane Fraser, CEO of Citigroup. We've just been speaking about Citi's own internal transformation and, of course, the geopolitical challenges. Jane, thank you very much for your patience and for staying on. Well, AI. Yeah. You did speak something about how that's making you in-source some of the technology work. But basically, how do you see AI playing out? Are we going to see more layoffs in economies?
So one of the most valuable pieces of advice I was given quite early on was think about AI in terms of how do you learn how to tell AI how to do your job better? How do you teach computers how to help you do your job? And that's one of the things that we have been doing, is not only looking top down at what are some of the scaled use cases we want to be doing, but we have unleashed AI tools on our people so they can be creative and they can show us different ways of how do they use AI and use it to augment their ability to do their job, as well as inventing new ways to use it that we never thought about. I find that practical and I find that exciting.
No, all that is fine. It certainly is practical, and it's made some of my jobs as well easy. You know, I supervise what the computer writes or what ChatGPT writes.
Yes.
But separately, you know, jobs is something which, you know, everyone's worried about. You had a lot of layoffs in Citi for other reasons. Would you say the period of layoffs is over, or technology can still create, you know, new redundancies?
Technology always means that we have to stay on our front foot of looking at how do we reskill and our people, how do we make sure that we're keeping them agile, how are they using technology for competitive advantage. That was true of ATM machines, that's been true of mobile phones and mobile telephony. It's now was machine learning, now AI. So I think this is just a skill set that every company and frankly every individual has to learn how to do. What's different this time is just the speed. Everyone is anticipating that the pace of this is going to be faster, and therefore there is an urgency of looking at how do we make sure that we're thinking about new jobs that are going to be created, how do we think about changing what people do so that they're not being replaced, but instead they're using AI to create more value. And that at the moment is certainly our philosophy within Citi, is AI being used to help our people serve our customers better, rethink how to do things more efficiently. And that's, again, part of the thinking we have. Unleash the tools for our people to use so that they can come up with new and creative ways to do it, rather than us telling them what to do.
Previous technologies like internet or Excel or mobile phones actually gave us more work. I mean, it increased productivity, but it also increased jobs. The world is still divided on AI. But as you say, it makes you more efficient. Now, one of the things that broke in the Financial Times is that, you know, 1 trillion blunder of a clerk writing the wrong number in Citi. Of course, you all caught him. You all didn't let the money go out of the bank. But do you think that these kinds of things get ironed out with AI? Is that one of the things that you will put into use?
One of the important pieces with AI is to make sure that it's not hallucinating. We have to make sure that we're very clear about what is the source of truth and what is truth in AI. So as with all technological developments, whether it is automating processes, whether it's putting you know, new uses, think of eyeglasses and smart lenses, you know, that will revolutionize you know, eyewear. You can think of a 1,000 different ways that everything could well change and be reinvented. You need new controls to put in place, you need new ways of looking at things. You know, all of these elements you've got to keep in mind and keep on your toes. You've got to be thinking ahead all the time, looking at risk management and playing defense, as well as looking at new opportunities.
Oh yes, AI may not be a guarantor of accuracies. It can also be hallucinations. That's a point well taken. But you know, a related point is the GCCs, you know, the global captive centers that have come to India. There's a bit of a fear that if there is a big evolution of AI, this migration of work to India may not come with the same speed. what may be the Citi experience? I think you all have a GCC here in Chennai, right?
We have one of our most important ones globally. We're in about 6 different cities here in India, have been for longer than I have been at the firm, of having critical capabilities. And those have really evolved and changed in the 20 years that I have been at the bank, from being more back office support into now we have some of our most leading edge critical capabilities that are being developed here in data, in AI. India is central to our firm's transformation. So just never underestimate the evolution that occurs. There are going to be entirely new jobs and new industries created by these technologies. Here will be a center.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My anxiety is that GCCs have been an important dollar earner for us, foreign exchange earner. Is that trend in danger from a Citi point of view, and more generally? I
don't think the GCCs are going to be in danger as long as they continue to adapt and evolve. The benefit of this country is it has an extraordinary cadre of highly technical, hard-working and also creative individuals. That, to my mind, is where the competitive advantage lies, and that should give the country and everybody confidence that while it may change and evolve, that this will remain a core competency and India will remain a very critical destination. I am expecting to put more global roles here than I am in other centres because of that factor. It's the talent. I keep coming back to the people. It's the talent.
Okay. You've given me the headline. If there's work that our people can do. Just a word more on India. We've developed a very good tech stack.
Yeah.
Do you see that being used? What's your own view of this UPI and other tech stacks that India has developed?
I was taken aback by the breathtaking speed with which the UPI was rolled out globally. I think it was one of those moments where the world was just taken aback. And just the opportunities that opens up to drive more efficiency, make India easier to do business with. But we see it ourselves with our mid-market clients here in India. It unleashed a whole wave of new companies in multiple different industries. And I think particularly for SMEs, the mid-market, it's been absolutely critical and helps support the growth that we're seeing. So it's not just the large names, but it is that body of SMEs, mid-market, that is so distinctive in India, and they've got competitive edge. Innovation is enormous. That has been a real game changer and took the world by surprise.
Yes, it continues to take us by surprise. The one thing that impresses, I don't know, if you travel through any Indian airport, there's something called a Digi Yatra, which does KYC, like that from your own desktop. So hopefully we have not stopped on the tech front. We have just got started. 2 final quick questions. Would you worry that AI and such technological, cutting-edge technology may create bad loans? Because, you're suddenly confronted with a new technology. As a banker, is that a worry?
As a banker, you always worry. It's my job to worry so that we can anticipate risks and support the economies and the clients that we're in with solutions. We have to play defense as well as offense with AI. Combination on fraud, cyber, and money laundering, other areas, illicit finance, are things that we've got to play defense on. And we're certainly investing a lot of money in terms of what are tools, what are capabilities, so that we try and stay ahead of where these areas are going. I think everybody has to be vigilant. If you're making a payment yourself, what information are you making available? All of these as private individuals as well as companies, the vigilance is going to be critical because it's changing so quickly.
Oh, there's a separate vertical of cyber risk, of course. We won't have time for that. Just a final question. What differentiates you in India from other foreign banks and other financial institutions?
Yeah. Well, we have the benefit of having been here for over 120 years. That does matter, but I think what it is the breadth and depth of our franchise. We have our investment bank, our corporate bank, our commercial bank. We have our sales and trading businesses. We have our services in custody, in cash management, etc. So that breadth and depth of capability is unmatched. And we can see that in terms of the role that we play very proudly, particularly in connecting India to the world to India, as well as supporting the wonderful entrepreneurship here.
Well, then there's one more last question. As a woman, what would your advice be to CEOs here in favor of flexible work hours?
Oh, I think we saw during COVID that flexibility can be a core competitive advantage for a company. There is no difference in terms of productivity that we've seen from our own people for those that are spending time working from home. And in many respects, we found it to be a competitive advantage. You still need people together. There's an enormous value of collaboration, but it doesn't need to be 100% one way or the other.
If you have convinced one more Indian CEO, that'll be a big service you would have done for us, especially for womankind. Thank you very much, Jane Fraser, for spending time with CNBC-TV18.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.